Hello awesome people and welcome to the AskMachchateK Show. Today we're going to be talking business and entrepreneurship. We are going to talk about how to avoid the biggest mistakes you could do as a first-time entrepreneur, how to transition from a 9-to-5 job to a self-employment or entrepreneurship venture, and how to evaluate a business idea or opportunity that you could think of or stumble on. So stay with us because we're coming right now. Welcome back. For the first people that are visiting this channel, my name is Khalid Machchate. I'm a Forbes 30 Under 30 entrepreneur, and I'll be talking in my AskMachchateK show about business, technology, and life, and I'll be answering community questions that are important to those verticals. So today's first question is coming from Ludovic. So Ludovic is saying how to evaluate a business idea or opportunity. Establishing the difference between a business idea and a business opportunity is very important. So from your own ideas, you need to confront them to market. First way of confronting them to market is actually looking for others that try to do the same thing you're trying to do in other markets outside that have the same or close to the same environment as your own market. If it succeeded there, then you can start entertaining the idea of implementing it in your market, as long as you start with small iterations and you start with a proof of concept, which is basically trying to get your product or a very basic version of your product to be sold or to be in interest of a certain client. So that's how we validate an idea. For an opportunities, you kind of need to study the pros and cons of that business opportunity. If some person comes to you saying that, hey, I've identified this great idea that I would like to work on, I would like you to join me in this venture, for example, you would say, what between the two of us, what are the resources that we would need externally to make this work, at least on a proof of concept basis? If between both of you, you have both the skill set and the resources to execute at least on a proof of concept and an MVP stage, then you can go for it if you have the bandwidth from a time management perspective and from responsibilities to go through it. So those are kind of my thoughts around business idea, opportunity, and how to assess them against market and against your own situation. The second question of Ludovic is, what are the biggest mistakes that a first-time entrepreneur would make and how to avoid them? Honestly, for me, the biggest one that I would think of is trying to do it alone. I'm not talking from a founder, co-founder perspective just about that, but I'm talking about having a support system. Being an entrepreneur is quite a lonely job on its own, and it's very challenging. You have a lot of difficulties either on your product side, on the marketing, on the sales. Everything is going to be against you, so you need to have a support system. Obviously, I would advise you to have multiple co-founders, at least 2 to 3 co-founders in a certain venture, but if you are a solopreneur, you would need to have a support system in place that would help you through those difficult times. That support system can be people from your family, your loved ones, but most importantly, other entrepreneurs that can help you navigate through your entrepreneurial journey, and people that really went through those hardships. But on a second level, I would say focusing actually a lot on financials. So financials in the sense that you need money to be able to do something. No. On my own experience, my first product, I worked on it myself. I learned how to do web development. The alpha version sucked from a visual perspective because I wasn't a designer, but I made it work by trying to learn from different sources, trying to ask some friends for help on some small elements, and trying to get my resources in nature by going and requesting those resources from people that had a lot of resources, and for them that thing was way too small. I'm talking about like small hosting. You go to maybe a server farm or a company that already has type of program that afford hosting and so on. So this is just from a resources perspective. You need to take your mind away from thinking that everything has to do with money. You really need to think of what this product needs from a resources standpoint for it to become a proof of concept and then an MVP, but also from a perspective of getting it in front of clients and in front of prospects. The third mistake I would identify in any entrepreneur's journey is you started having some cash flow coming in, and you're still not thinking about how to manage your cash flow. So landing big clients with big deals is great, but if you're just starting out, that can't be your only pipeline. You need a balanced pipeline between smaller clients that get a cash flow that's rapid, so it's smaller projects and you get paid right away, and then you have mid-sized clients where the sales cycle means that how long does it take from first contact with the client to when you establish the purchase. You need those sales cycles to be medium length. I'm talking maybe a month to 2 months for the medium-sized clients, and for those, obviously, the payday would be larger, and it might be able to sustain you for 6 months to a year. And then you can still try to hook the whales, which are very large clients with very large deals. Sometimes, especially in our emerging markets, those deals can take maybe 6 months. From a sales cycle perspective, can go even to 8-10 months. But these are deals that can project you to maybe 10x your cash flow or your results for the year, and those are to be pursued, but with very minimal resources, so that you don't exhaust your resources and you keep your cash flow coming in. Cash flow management, especially in emerging markets, can make or kill your entrepreneurial journey. This question is from Mahmoud A, and he's asking, if he's in a 9-to-5 job and he's developing a certain expertise in a specific field, how can he transition from that 9-to-5 job to a multi-million dirham company that's working in the same theme? First of all, if you're working from that perspective, you have kind of two routes. It depends on how comfortable you are with onboarding other co-founders that are in the same field, and then other co-founders that are from different fields, or financial co-founders that will be basically investors or partially investors and partially executives in your company. So if you're willing to do that, then I would say the first thing you would do is try to identify these people, to get them on board with your idea, to see if they see eye to eye to you, to compare your visions. And obviously co-founder selection is very, very important, especially if you're just starting out. Then you have the second route, which is you start the transition to freelancing or a part-time freelancing after your 9-to-5 job, which is honestly hustling out the nights and weekends, which I actually started with way back early when I started to create my product, and I tried to have some financial resources to be able to sustain the production, to be able to hire and pay interns and so on. So that's how I functioned, because I was more in the mood of a solopreneur. Obviously, afterwards I went into business with other co-founders, but my first venture was on my own. So these are two kind of different approaches to transitioning from 9 to 5 to self-employment and to business, and you need to think about which one works for you most. And how do you want to navigate that transition is basically by not dropping your 9 to 5 job until your side hustle or your side venture starts bringing maybe 2 to 2.5x what you would need on a monthly basis. Why do I say that? It's because first, to push you to hustle more and to establish more of a cash flow stream that can sustain you even in cases of major decline in your income. The second part is mainly how to reassure yourself, because leaving a 9 to 5 job is quite complicated, and giving yourself that reassurance that you still have enough cash flow to live and to save and to be ready for any downturns. I think that's quite important for your own mental health and your own management. And maybe a last one is you don't think about a lot of things when you are an employee or you have a 9 to 5 job, including maybe taxes, including a lot of management fees and a bunch of things that comes with self-employment and entrepreneurship alike. So maybe think about how to manage those two things. And that eats money also. So that 2.5x thing, there is a part of it that will go to taxes. There's a part of it that will go to fiduciary expenses. There's a part of it that will go into, you'll be needing more transport to go meet clients and so on. So there's a lot of overhead that comes with being an entrepreneur, and you will have months where it'll be drier than other months in matters of cash flow. So please make sure that you have that kind of, up 2 to 2.5x really of your salary income from your side hustle before leaving, so that you would have all these three elements covered moving on. And last but not least, Mahmoud asked me what a day looks in an entrepreneur's life. For my end, waking up quite early, checking up emails, responding to emails that I need to. And it depends. If it's the weekend, I usually have more of a content production day, whether it's deliverables, whether it's for my charity ventures and my social ventures, or whether it is in preparation for the next week. If it's a weekday, start by answering to emails. Usually around 8:30, I start receiving calls or making calls. Either it's calls that are business, dailies with my team, daily meetings with my team. I would have usually I'm on the phone or in a conference call or meeting a client. I try today to kind of diminish the need for visiting a client on site. Obviously, that doesn't apply for kind of larger clients, where it's very complicated for them to function in kind of a conf call environment. And it depends also on the number of projects I have intersecting and my other responsibilities, notably today as member of the Royal Commission. So I have to also schedule in my day some time to work on deliverables for my theme, which is technology and innovation, and then work out also time to time for our meetings, our plenary meetings. So after 6 p.m. this whole day is basically calls, emails, meetings, and meetings with my team and meetings with clients. After 6 p.m. I'd come back, I'd spend some time with my family at home, and after maybe 8:30 p.m. I would go back to work. going back to work, meaning also preparing for the next day, what are the tasks that I have to be doing, setting up specific meetings with team members that had requests from me during the day. If I have any content production that I haven't finished, that I go into that. And I have my learning time, which is basically I have a fixed time either in the weekends or in the evenings where I would try to learn something new. It's on business, technology, even from a content production perspective, I try to keep my skills fresh, and I try to focus on how to make myself better so that I try to lead my organization by example. I hope you had fun during the second episode of the Ask Khalid Machchate show. I would obviously remind you, not that you're forgetting, but like and subscribe if you think my content is helpful and if you would like to see more of that same content. Take care. See you next time.